Right, good morning. It is just gone 7. We've just finished our first workouts of the day. Marlborough devices from home, leg focus, a little bit of low impact cardio work or higher impact, depending on where you're at. So just wanted to talk about meal timing. I had a question this morning, about whether, so their lifestyle essentially works out like they have their breakfast a little bit later than normal, like rather than just getting up, which means they have their lunch later, which means they have their dinner later. And the question was, is this okay? Because I read so many things, and you say, Matt, all the time about snippets with regards to, you know, like you see a headline, it's like, oh, blimey, that means it's like gospel almost. Like, oh, that means that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And I just want to first kind of go through almost like a little bit of a pyramid to help us understand. Now, you may have seen me go through this before, and this is kind of where we're at right now. So you've got calories are the most important thing. So the first question to ask in whether eating late is an issue for you is, does it make you eat more or less throughout the day? And of course, I'm on about fat loss here, which is also associated with inflammation, health, etc. anyway. And in this scenario, fat loss is one of the goals, and also energy levels as well. So does it make you eat more or less? And what I mean by this is, let's say you start eating late at night. Well, what kind of foods come out late at night? Are you more distracted? Are you more relaxed? So it may be that if you eat later in the day, you've been adrenaline fueled all day at work, and then all of a sudden you are starving, and there's food out, there's people getting like crisps out and stuff. You end up eating more because of the distractions, how you feel, and you want to feel good. You almost feel like I should treat myself. If that's coming into it, then you want to consider that maybe actually eating late isn't working for you. However, consider the definition of breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That we know that was like a bit of a marketing thing from all the cereals and all of that. Every meal is important. And also consider the research. In the research, they define breakfast as anything kind of, a lot of studies is actually prior to 11 a.m. Most people think that they've skipped breakfast if they have their breakfast at 10:30 or 11. So prior to 11 a.m. So it doesn't really matter. And as long as your body is in kind of a good rhythm for you, and your body does like homeostasis, so like being quite consistent might be a good idea, especially in terms of food planning, making choices around family, kids, busy lifestyle. So if you can be in a routine, whether that's having breakfast at 10:30 or 11 or 7, it doesn't really matter. What matters is it comes back down to, okay, if I have my breakfast at 7 a.m. or 11 a.m, what happens to my total intake over the day? Do I eat more or less? Because I know for me, if I have something quite sweet early in the morning when I'm not really hungry, when a black coffee would just do me because I do get up very early, I'll probably be hungry again at 8 a.m, whether I've had that or not. Does that impact my intake later in the day? No, I'm just as hungry. So for me, I know that it works to have breakfast kind of between 8 and 11, anywhere between then kind of works. So I know it's quite a big face, but that's kind of my gaps in the day to potentially eat then, rather than at like 4 a.m, 5 a.m, when I'm just not in the mood to eat. I'll be force eating to boost my metabolism, which we know you don't boost your metabolism more than the extent which the added calories would do. So what I mean by this is the metabolism, when you consider what the definition of metabolism is, it's simply the sum of all reactions in your body. So if I eat, I'm going to boost my metabolism because my body's got to digest that, absorb it, etc., break it down, extract the energy from the food. So if I go and eat McDonald's, that's going to spike my metabolism. If I eat porridge, that will spike my metabolism. Whatever, it's going to spike your metabolism. So this is the key question. Then you've got to consider, okay, but I am hungry. Okay, what's your protein intake like? We know that protein keeps you full, helps your hunger hormones. If we can get this into the diet, maybe at breakfast, whether you have it at 11 or 7, this is probably more important than what time you have it. Unless obviously you can't eat for certain periods of the day because of work, etc. That's a different question there. But protein, we know, can we get that in every meal? That's going to help our hunger levels. Then we've got carbs and fats, and these are really down to choice and preference. We know from research that whether you give someone a calorie-controlled high carb, calorie-controlled high fat, either or, there's not really much difference. It comes back down to preference. You might find, though, that eating a lower carb diet makes you a bit more full up, your satiety's better, because you find it easier to eat more protein, potentially. That's preference. So this is kind of at the top of the chain there, you've got the timing, because the timing depends on this, really. And then this, your protein intake might help you hit your total intake. For example, if someone has a lower protein diet, they may have higher hunger levels, potentially. Similar with fibre, you could probably chuck fibre in there. Fibre. from your vegetables, etc. as well. I mean, the carbs and fats are down to kind of preference, and often, if you think of where most questions are, I need to cut carbs and I need to stop eating so late. Most of the questions are asked here, but really the questions need to be asked here. What's our total intake? How high is our protein intake? Rather than, when should I eat and how do I cut carbs? Now, of course, cutting carbs is fine. If you cut carbs, you're probably going to lower your calories. That's one method of doing it. You can also cut fat, lower your calories. Portion size overall. There's many things to do. You don't have to count, of course, to do that. That's just to help you understand that meal timing doesn't matter that much as long as it fits your lifestyle. If you find yourself eating late as well as eating all your meals and you're just overeating in the evening and then you're fasting in the morning because you're not hungry, because you've overeaten in the evening, then you eat as little as possible, sound familiar? Then you overeat in the evening every evening when there's food out, family there, then you might have an issue. And I would say, let's try and have some breakfast. Especially when you look at the research, people who have high protein breakfast, people who have extra breakfast, tend to subconsciously eat less throughout the day. That's interesting. Whether it's eggs or not, it doesn't matter. Basically, if you gather the research, it shows that a higher protein breakfast before 11 pretty much will help people subconsciously eat less without even thinking about it. So I hope that helps. If you want to come to my free talk, 20th of October, 8 p.m, I'll be live in my free group, Ladies Get Fit with Fruci Fit. If you want information on that, comment below of comfort eating and I'll send you the group to be in that you need to be in for that, okay? That's 20th of October, 8 p.m. There will be a replay in there if you miss it live as well. It would be great if you're in there live, you can ask questions. And it'll be about an hour, it's going to be quite in depth with that. We're going to build out a plan on feeling in control again, overcoming comfort eating and starting to feel in control of food again. So, from a physiological point of view and also psychological. So, comment below if you want information on that. Any questions, hey Shell, let me know and I'll see you soon. Take care.